All right, everyone, I am pumped today because this is going to be my first time, at least on the channel, going through a detailed look at a card set and its design. A couple weeks ago, I went through the years of the Panini Noir base design, and that was a lot of fun. And today, instead of looking at kind of a set over its several years of its inception, looking at specifically one release, one base design from one year of a set, and that set is going to be 2004 2005 UD Exquisite. So we'll look at the base design today and kind of talk about it. Again, I mean, I think I used the phrase nerding out, and I think this is going to be really fun to be nerds and kind of look at the intricacies and the tiny design elements of a card, and of one that's really big, right? Like, Exquisite is the premier basketball brand, right? I mean, if I'm sure if there was a poll about like the top brand in basketball, it'd probably be heavily leaning towards Exquisite, maybe some probably split between that and Topps Chrome, maybe some votes in there for things like UD Black and whatnot. I do have my one other Exquisite base, which is, I believe, 0506, and that's right here. This is the Mike Bibby. This one is, no, 0607. So this is the 0607 design. We'll not talk about it today, but this is the 0607 design. So I just kind of threw it back here. A, to reference, but B, also kind of to keep things on theme. Today, we're going to look at the 2004-2005 design. And so that is this. And yes, I know this is not a king. This is Tony Parker. Just one of those cards that I was like, hey, I saw this card. I wanted it. And so I bought it. And, obviously, I've shown and shared that I buy cards that aren't kings quite often. I kept it in the sleeve because I got really worried when I pulled it out and I saw this little like crease right here, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is damaged. But no, that's just the sleeve. So take that out of the sleeve, and you can see that that top edge is in good condition. But anyway, so this is the 04-05 Upper Deck Exquisite Basketball design. It's kind of like shine it in the different parts of the light. So just a little objective look at it. You obviously have the player cropped out in front, and it kind of feels layered, right? So Tony Parker's silhouette is over here, cropped out right there, kind of layered on top of this kind of flared background. I don't know if that's the right wording for it. And you can kind of see a similar design element, and we're not looking at comparing the different years, but you can see the similar kind of flared design element in 0607. And I have no idea if that's kind of consistent throughout the years. I know some years use it, some years don't for Exquisite. But so you see him layered on top of that, and kind of in line with that, it may be hard to see, is this kind of faded, almost kind of artistic or artsy game background. I think, yeah, you can see if we can show. You can see like a defender back there. So it's a really, really faded game background. You might be able to see here kind of fans in the background. So it's kind of a really, really faded game background, but it's also artistic, right? You can see that it kind of has this little like kind of brush strokey pattern, kind of in the sense that it or maybe that's just what the game background looks like when it's that blurred out. And you have kind of striations through it. So it's kind of etched in that way. So, this is the second year of Exquisite, 2004-05. They didn't quite introduce the etched hollow foil yet. So this is kind of some of the predecessor or preview of that etched hollow foil, where it's that vertical or that linear etching. Again, I'll really get up close there. There's that kind of like those lines etched in there. Into that background, you got the player name up top, the stamping on the side. This one's out of 225. So again, just for reference, those Noir base that Panini came out with were always between 79 and 99, or 75 and 99. So much more limited than the Exquisite Base, at least in this year. You can see that outside of this flare pattern with that game background and the player, you got a white background, but it kind of is like white marbling. Do you see the marbling right there? So that's a cool little addition. So instead of making it a plain white background, you got that marbling with these dots on it. Now, these dots, they do have some texture. The marbling has no texture. You can't feel that. If you run your finger on it, there's nothing. It doesn't kind of feel like anything, but the dots do have a feeling to them. It's very light, it's very subtle, but they do have a feeling to them. Yeah, I'm even like kind of second guessing myself, but they do. And then of course at the bottom you have the UD logo, guard, Spurs, Exquisite, right here. And I want to kind of see, yeah, the you don't really feel any etching on this background. So really the only texturing you feel is the player. You can feel the player, and you might be able to see the player image is probably hard to see, but you can kind of see it layered on top here. And you can run your finger across and you feel that bump there. And you also feel those dots. That's all you feel from a textural perspective here. And so that's the front of the card. Let's take a look at the back of the card. The back of the card has that same flaring in the back with a different image of Tony Parker. I don't know if this is just for Tony Parker or not. And you can see there's a little bit of, I don't know, chipping there. I don't know if it's just Tony Parker or not, but you have the last 3 years. Those were his 3 seasons in the league so far. Other players might have more than that. I'm not sure. With a brief description of, just a standard description here of his time in the league. You still have that marbling or kind of texturing. It kind of looks like a leather striation pattern. Now, and talking about that, I wonder if their Upper Deck was kind of looking at recreating like a basketball design, right? So where the dots are like the dots of a ball, and that texturing is the texturing on a ball, like the leather of a ball. I'm not sure. So that's the design. Just overall, it's a thick card, right? It's a thick card, 130 point, I think, like the Noir cards. So again, you kind of compare these. I won't pull out the Noir base, but if you compare them, they're both pretty thick cards. I think they're pretty equivalent in thickness. And so obviously that thicker stock gives this a more high-end feel. I will say that this kind of layering of the player photo or the cropped player photo on top of a game background in that window behind him kind of reminds me of the 2000-2001 Fleer Futures. I know that the design isn't the same. I know that, the Fleer Futures has the little circle window, whereas the Exquisite has that flaring window. I know there's obviously a lot of difference in these designs, but that's kind of what it reminded me of, right? You see Weber here kind of cropped out in front of that window and the game photography that's in that window. And so you can see that. I'm also going, by the way, after the team set of this base and the copper version of 750. So if you have any, I don't need a lot left, but if you have any available, let me know. Those copper versions come up shockingly little or infrequently. They're rare. Not that they don't come up, but for being out of 750, you'd think they'd be more easily attainable and cheaper. They're cheap if they come up most of the time, but like I haven't seen a Weber in, I don't know, a year or 2, or maybe I picked up the Weber. I don't remember. But anyway, if you have any, let me know. But to me, they kind of look similar in that effect. Now, I think the difference is, if you run your finger over the Weber, there is no layering. There's no texture there. It's just the photo printed on the card. Whereas here with the Tony Parker, you actually do feel that. You feel that player. You feel his silhouette kind of as a different layer on the card. That might make it higher end or feel higher end, or that might be a more luxurious feel to it, but I don't know, just an observation. In terms of the card itself, I'm not gonna lie, this card, although it's exquisite, it doesn't scream like super nice to me. I don't see this card and I'm not wowed by it. I'm not sitting here saying, wow, this is a really nice looking card. In fact, if I were to compare these two cards in terms of which one I like more, call me crazy and call me a basketball card blasphemer, I think I might go for the Weber. I mean, the glittering effect kind of on the card is, I think, nicer on the Weber. You can see it kind of shine a little bit better. Obviously, there's no use of foil, and so thinner stock, and it's lower end. I just think aesthetically, visually, this card looks better. I think, if I were to show this to my wife, these two cards, I think I think she'd pick, and I'll maybe ask her before I actually publish the video. I think she'd pick the Weber as a nicer looking card, as a prettier card. Comparing the backs, again, like, I think that the back is more interesting here on the futures. I know that's not the point of Exquisite, to make interesting backs, but you look at this card and I think that it tends to be a better design, right? Like, it's more interesting. It has more going on. It has like a cool different font here. It's got something interesting in the 2000 preseason statistics. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I might just be trying to like subconsciously stir the pot, but I definitely think it's a more interesting back. I think that the card is more appealing. Now, I say that partially because, I think 2004, 2005 Exquisite is probably inferior to some other years. I think this design, this Bibby, is a better design than the Parker. And, take that for what it is, and that may mean nothing, that may be significant, but I think that, if I have a rating scale and I'm rating this, and maybe that's something that I'll do, let's say out of 5, I probably put this at a 3. Maybe leaning down into a 2. Like, if a 2 is something where I just don't think it looks good, but I don't mind owning it, versus a 3 is, yeah, it's a decent card. It's not impressing me or wowing me, but I like it. I might lean this closer to a 2. I mean, I don't think that there's anything about this design that's particularly impressive or nice. Yeah, but that's kind of my look at 2004, 2005 Exquisite, and you heard it here. Inferior product to 2000, 2001 Fleer Futures, and 2 out of 5 on the base design. Let me know how crazy I am in the comments, or communicate with me through some other channel and some other medium. I hope, let me know what you think. I hope that you like this kind of detailed look at specific sets and designs. I am hoping to do more of this sort of thing, and hopefully we can kind of talk about it either in the comments or via Instagram or forums or whatnot. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Please argue with me, because I don't know, it's good conversation. And arguments and discussions are good conversations. Constructive criticism is always welcome. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think, and hit me up. Have a great day. Happy collecting.